Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today I want to run you through this gorgeous greeting card. It is time for paper and ink sketches number 4. If you follow KitchenTableStamper.com, the blog, you know that the paper and ink sketches is a regular feature, and this is today's sketch. You'll see from the card that I took a little bit of liberty with this sketch. I turned it 90 degrees. I took some of the layers that were in the sketch and I replaced them with a gorgeous stamp image. This is a stamp set that I'm just in love with. It's the Delicate Details from Stampin' Up. And when you spend $50 with Stampin' Up during celebration, you can get this Delicate Details for free. Isn't that a gorgeous way to just add something special to your card? Add an extra layer without actually adding the extra bulk and weight of another layer. All right, we're gonna play with that stamp set today. While I'm on stamp sets, let me run you through the rest of the tools and supplies that you'll need if you wanna make this card at home. I'm using the Oh So Succulent bundle. It's Oh So Succulent and the Succulent Framelits dies bundled together, save 10%. I'm also using the greeting from Avant Garden. Avant Garden is another fantastic stamp set that is only available from Stampin' Up for free. All right, Stampin' pads today. Let's run through these really quick. I used a lot of colors here, lots of fun stamping. Soft suede. I've got some pear pizzazz for my succulents. Sweet sugar plum. I've used a little crumb cake. Pool party for my bright blue succulent there, and some Calypso coral. All right, those are your Stampin' pads. The designer series paper that I used on this card is from Succulent Garden. It's 12 by 12 and two-sided. There are 6 papers, 2 designs on each paper, and you get 12 sheets altogether, 2 of each. Aren't these some fun patterns? These are great for Easter and spring. Just love this collection of paper. All right, so that's our designer series paper. The cardstock and measurement. I have an A2 size card base here. This is 8.5 long by 5.5 wide, and it's scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Calypso coral. This is 2 3/4 by 4. And our designer series paper is 3 by 4. I also have circles cut from the Layering Circles Framelits dies. If you started out with squares that were 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 of Old Olive and Whisper White, you could cut those fine. And then my linen thread. I would say that I have, let's see here, probably about 24 inches of linen thread. I also have a 1/4 sheet. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5 of Whisper Whites, and that's where we're going to do our stamping for the most part. So let's get started there. Got a little sheet of scratch paper because we're going to do a lot of stamping off, and lots of stamps from our Succulent Garden stamp set. We'll start with lighter colors and then move to darker colors. That way we don't have to clean up so much in between ink applications. All right, we're gonna start with crumb cake. It's our lightest brown color, and we're going to stamp this little sprig, this branch, with crumb cake. And then we're gonna stamp the solid image off and then fill in with crumb cake. And then we're going to move to soft suede. We'll repeat the process here. We're going to ink up and then stamp the outline of our branch. Ink up the inside, stamp off, and fill in. Now while we have our soft suede open, we're going to get our greeting This is from Avant Garden. And our circle, and let's get our greeting stamped on our circle. That way we don't have to go back to our ink. And I stamped it up of center and to the left to make plenty of room for our little bouquet of succulents. Now, keeping in mind our lighter to darker, we're going to start with our pool party here. We're going to use this smaller succulent image. We'll stamp the outline with pool party. Then we'll stamp the inside image off and then line it up and fill in. And once I've got it, stamp and fill it in. Now we'll move to Pear Pizzazz, and it's a little bit darker so we don't have to worry about cleaning out and off in between. Okay, so full strength Pear Pizzazz. And then we'll ink up, stamp off, and line it up again. While we're on Pear Pizzazz, I've got a big succulent plant here. I'm gonna stamp. Ink up, stamp off, and fill in. Two more little succulents to do here. Sweet Sugar Plum. Going to full strength. This one's just a little bit easier to line up. It's got some pretty distinguishing petals. All right, now Calypso Coral. We're going to first stamp a little succulent. And then shade it in. Stamp off, fill that one in. And we'll set that aside and get our Calypso Coral layer. And I've taken the Delicate Details stamps and chosen two lace patterns. And I line them up right by side. They're touching each other on this block. I'm going to ink them up with the Calypso Coral. Have my card for just a minute. Get my scratch paper in there. And then stamp. So we're applying both lace patterns to the edge of this Calypso Coral cardstock with Calypso Coral ink. You've got a lot of detail in that stamp there, so press gentle but firm and allow time for the ink to transfer, and you'll get beautiful, crisp lace patterns every time. The Stampin' Pierce mat is a big part of getting success with these tiny little details. Okay, so Stampin' Pierce mat, gentle pressure, and allow the ink some time to transfer. Now we'll set this aside for just a minute to dry and do some die cutting here. And put this little stamped piece right on our platform, and we can cut a few of these succulents at a time. This will require, I think, 2 passes through the machine. Okay, so I've die cut all my parts. Okay, next up we're going to go ahead and wrap the linen thread. So what you do is leave in your left hand, cover the front of the card and leave a tail. Wrap once and then twice. Then you should have 2 tails. Bring up and tie into a bow. So we've got our pretty little bow. Let's get a little bit of dimensional adhesive, some snail, and a little bit of fast fuse too. Let's get this card put together, shall we? All right. So first, with a little bit of snail, we're going to here our Whisper White Sentiment panel, centered on our old olive. Then I'd like a little bit of fast fuse on the back of my coral panel, because we're going to go right over that linen thread. The fast fuse really helps to sandwich that in place. And on the back of our Succulents Designer Series paper, we'll use a little bit of snail. No need for fast fuse. Fast fuse is a little aggressive for that. And you're going to center so that there's a nice even border, top, bottom, and right-hand side. Then add our lacy coral piece. Doing the same thing, we want a nice border, top, bottom, and left-hand side. Now back to the fast fuse, because we're going over that linen. So we'll add fast fuse to the back of our old olive and nestle that right up against our bow. Then on my largest succulent, I'm going to put some dimensional. I especially want some dimensional adhesive right here, so I'm going to pull and expose that. And that's where I'm going to adhere my little sprigs. So they're going to come right up on the sentiment piece here, so we want to kind of audition where they're going to land. All right, another little piece of dimensional. I'm going to expose the adhesive and get my other little sprig. And again, we kind of want to audition where that guy is going to be. I like that. I put a little snail on the back of our coral flower. We've got some half-dimensional pieces here. Put one now. We'll go ahead and expose the adhesive on the back of our biggest succulent, and just add that one down. Make sure you don't cover any of your sentiment. So now the small pear pizzazz succulent, the small sweet sugar plum succulent, and the little coral flower are all adhesive. This one's flat and these are bumped. So we're going to come in here and add these guys in kind of a bouquet. Maybe this way. All right, so we've got a few things that are flat with no dimension. We've got a few things that are bumped with one dimensional. Now what I'm going to do here with this little pool party one is I'm going to add a dimensional here, and then there's a dimensional here. So what we're getting is a third layer of pop when this dimensional and this layer up. So we've got some real nice layer. We've got a flat, a first layer, and a second layer. Really gives the card a lot of dimension. This is the paper and ink sketch number 4. You can find the sketch at kitchentablestamper.com. I'll put the direct link right below the video in the description. Let's see what you can do with paper and ink sketch number 4. And then, once you've created your card with Stampin' Up! Supplies, share at the Kitchen Table Stamper Craft Social. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, email me, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com.